Hello, America! JOC here with your Ranting Politics headline updates, where we are diving into today's most explosive political stories that you need to know about. Coming up, we've got a serious international showdown brewing as Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum puts her foot down against potential U.S. drone strikes on cartels. The Trump administration is reportedly considering military action, and Mexico is saying absolutely not. We'll break down what this means for border security and U.S.-Mexico relations. Then, Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett has set off yet another firestorm with some eyebrow-raising comments, linking immigration to cotton picking. Yes, you heard that right, and it's just the latest in what seems like a weekly controversy from the squad member. Next up, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is flexing American muscle down in Panama, declaring the U.S. will take back the canal from Chinese influence. Is this the beginning of a new Cold War battleground? We'll get into the details. And finally, former podcaster turned FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino is now rolling with a multi-agent security detail, something previous deputy directors never had. We'll look at why this unprecedented protection is raising eyebrows inside the Bureau and beyond. If you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome to America's fastest growing daily news rundown designed specifically for your commute, run, or coffee time. Stick around for all this and more in your daily dose of unfiltered news and common sense commentary. This is Ranting Politics Headline Updates. The gloves are off in U.S.-Mexico relations as President Claudia Sheinbaum took a firm stance yesterday, declaring that Mexico would categorically reject any unilateral U.S. military action on Mexican soil. Her comments come hot on the heels of an NBC News report that the Trump administration is considering drone strikes against drug cartels operating south of the border. The people of Mexico will not, under any circumstances, accept intervention, interference, or any other act from abroad, Sheinbaum stated during her regular morning press conference. She didn't mince words, adding that such military action would not resolve anything. This isn't just diplomatic posturing. The tension has been building for months as Trump administration officials have repeatedly refused to rule out strikes in Mexico. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has previously said that all options will be on the table when asked about potential military operations inside our southern neighbor. The NBC News report, citing 6 current and former U.S. military, law enforcement, and intelligence officials, indicates that no final decision has been made. But let's be real, this isn't coming out of nowhere. Trump floated this idea repeatedly during his presidential campaign, and back in February, the U.S. designated the Sinaloa cartel and other Mexican drug cartels as global terrorist organizations, a move some analysts view as potentially setting the stage for military action. This wouldn't be the first time Trump considered hitting cartels. According to former Defense Secretary Mark Esper's memoir, Trump asked at least twice in 2020 about using missiles to destroy drug labs in Mexico. Esper claims he shut down the idea, calling it illegal and an act of war. Meanwhile, Sheinbaum is working on a constitutional reform aimed at adding protections to Mexico's national sovereignty, a clear response to these growing concerns. At the same time, U.S. military surveillance of Mexican drug cartels has been ramping up to gather intelligence on their operations. During yesterday's congressional hearing, a senior Pentagon official confirmed the military doesn't currently have authority to strike cartels in Mexico. But with tensions rising and the rhetoric heating up, this story is definitely one to watch. Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett has set off another firestorm of controversy with her recent remarks at a historically black church in Connecticut. During Grace Baptist Church's 125th anniversary celebration, the Texas Congresswoman and member of the Squad made eyebrow-raising comments about immigration that are still reverberating across political circles. Crockett told congregants, "I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants. The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now." After receiving what was described as a sheepish laugh from a few audience members, she doubled down. "Okay, so I'm lying. You're not. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation." These comments suggesting America needs immigrants because Americans won't do certain jobs have added fuel to an already raging debate about immigration policy. But this isn't Crockett's first rodeo when it comes to controversial statements. The Texas representative is currently facing a potential censure resolution in the House after referring to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who uses a wheelchair, as Governor Hot Wheels. This appears to be part of a pattern, with Crockett previously making references to Abbott rolling places and sharing social media posts with similar comments. Her list of controversial remarks keeps growing. She suggested Senator Ted Cruz should be knocked over the head, said she wanted to see Elon Musk taken down amid Tesla attacks, and stated Democrats need to be okay with punching. She also made headlines with comments criticizing Congressman Byron Donalds' interracial marriage, saying, "You married a white woman and so you think that whitewashed you." Attorney General Pam Bondi warned that Crockett needs to tread very carefully, noting that words have consequences and calling her rhetoric dangerous. Meanwhile, Crockett's office did not respond to requests for comment on her latest controversy, which continues to divide public opinion along partisan lines. The battle for control of one of the world's most critical waterways is heating up as U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth threw down the gauntlet this week, declaring America will reclaim the Panama Canal from what he described as China's growing influence. Speaking during a press event in Panama on Tuesday, Hegseth didn't mince words. The United States of America will not allow Communist China or any other country to threaten the canal's operation or integrity. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence. This marks a dramatic escalation in rhetoric from the Trump administration, which has increasingly framed the strategic waterway as a flashpoint in U.S.-China competition. According to Fox News reporting, Hegseth outlined an extensive list of joint military exercises, operations, and increased American military presence around the canal, signaling a muscular approach to countering Beijing's economic footprint in the region. Panama has consistently rejected claims that China controls the canal, though the Central American nation did withdraw from its 2017 Belt and Road Initiative agreements with Beijing earlier this year. This move suggests Panama may be aligning with Washington in this high-stakes geopolitical chess match. Hegseth specifically accused Chinese companies of installing critical infrastructure in the canal that could potentially enable surveillance operations. This makes Panama and the United States less secure, less prosperous, less sovereign, he warned. The defense secretary's blunt message to Beijing couldn't have been clearer. "I want to be very clear. China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal, and China will not weaponize this canal." This rhetoric represents a significant shift in America's Panama policy, doubling down on Trump's previous statements about reasserting control over the strategic waterway that the U.S. transferred to Panama in 1999. While the Chinese embassy didn't immediately respond to requests for comment, Beijing has previously characterized such accusations as manifestations of a Cold War mentality. The Panama Canal remains one of the world's most crucial trade arteries, with approximately 6% of global maritime commerce passing through it annually. As tensions between Washington and Beijing continue to simmer, this narrow waterway could become yet another flashpoint in the increasingly complex U.S.-China relationship. Now here's a story that's raising eyebrows at the FBI. The Bureau has issued a call for agents to voluntarily serve as bodyguards for new Deputy Director Dan Bongino, marking a significant departure from long-standing protocol. According to NBC News reporting, this is the first time in FBI history the number 2 official has received round-the-clock protection detail. Bongino, who comes to the role after careers as a Secret Service agent, New York police officer, and perhaps most notably, as a wealthy pro-Trump podcaster and media personality, has a unique resume. He's making history as the first deputy director who didn't climb the ranks as a career FBI agent. Before joining the Bureau, Bongino was known for his sharp criticism of the very organization he now helps lead. The security arrangement is raising questions about resource allocation within the FBI. According to current and former officials, the Bureau has requested agents volunteer for 30-day rotations to provide 24/7 protection. Security experts estimate this could require as many as 20 agents pulled from their regular duties. This setup contrasts starkly with previous practice. Paul Abate, the prior deputy director, typically had just a single part-time agent accompanying him to certain events and carried his own service weapon. Full security details were reserved only for foreign travel. What's particularly noteworthy is that Bongino's security detail reportedly follows him even inside secure FBI facilities, including headquarters, a practice previous directors didn't employ. And while Bongino could go through the process to qualify to carry an FBI-issued handgun, sources indicate he's opted for the full protective detail instead. Former senior FBI official Frank Figliuzzi didn't hold back in his criticism. Of course he could carry. This is ridiculous. The question is, what is the actual risk and threat here? Or does he just want a detail? This is taxpayer money we're talking about. The timing of the security arrangement has raised additional questions, particularly as it appears to conflict with FBI Director Kash Patel's stated priority of transferring more agents from headquarters to field offices. Instead, this detail pulls qualified agents away from their investigative duties to serve in protective roles. For his part, Bongino recently took to social media to address questions about his new position, writing that there are aspects of FBI decisions he cannot publicly explain due to legal and ethical constraints. He added, "Watch what happens, continue to demand results, be cautious of narrative traps, let time put the puzzle pieces together, and what we're doing will make sense." And that wraps up today's Ranting Politics headline updates. What a news cycle we've had. From Mexico standing firm against potential U.S. military action against cartels on their soil, to Representative Crockett's eyebrow-raising comments about immigration and cotton picking that have landed her in more hot water. We've seen Defense Secretary Hegseth boldly declaring America's intentions to take back the Panama Canal from Chinese influence, signaling a major geopolitical shift in Central America. And finally, the curious case of new FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino receiving unprecedented security protection at taxpayer expense, despite his predecessors managing just fine, without full details. Each of these stories speaks volumes about the current political climate and the dramatic policy shifts unfolding in the Trump administration's early days. Plenty to chew on until tomorrow's headlines break. Thanks for tuning in to Ranting Politics Headline Updates. We're committed to bringing you the stories that matter without the partisan spin. If you enjoyed today's rundown, follow us on X at RantingRP, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, and visit us at rantingpolitics.com for more unfiltered news throughout the day. Remember, we don't align with a political party. We align with you, the American citizen. This is JOC, signing off, and thank you, our loyal listeners, for choosing Ranting Politics Headline Updates. We'll be back soon with the updates you need to navigate these interesting times. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay free.